Hey everyone, it's Pat and Frankie here at Engine Power. Currently we are working on an all-new episode. This is round 3 of our brand loyalty war. 305 versus 302. Now, we've already done a bunch of stuff, but we're doing some more to compare the results. And if you are into this type of budgety operation, we got something you would really like to watch as well.
That's right. This is what we consider one of the episodes that are the best of Engine Power. We did a bunch of sweet testing in this video where we basically didn't even take the engine apart. We just tested a bunch of stuff that you can try at home, and we pick up some pretty significant power numbers. So give it a watch. We hope you enjoy it.
Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to see more. You watch that while we keep going and bring this to you later. You're watching Power Nation.
You can get impressive power gains from your engine without even cracking it open.
We'll show you how. To run, the engine needs 4 basic things: spark, fuel, air, and oil. The timing, quality, and amount of those things make a big difference on how well the engine runs and how much power it makes. Today we're going to make some adjustments and changes to ignition timing, carburetors, air cleaners, and engine oil. Some of these changes will make a strong improvement, and perhaps surprisingly, some of these changes won't make much of a difference at all.
Our test bed for this experiment is a General Motors 305 cubic inch V8 that we are cobbling together, choosing the best parts from a couple of donor engines we had in the shop. Let's get started.
We have our pieced together 305 back on our Superflow Power Mark to show you a few things. Now, it's not about how much this particular engine will make for power. Quite frankly, it won't make much. It is about what affects power in an engine. And the first thing we're going to discuss is ignition timing.
Now, we're not going to go crazy and try and blow this engine up, but we want to show you what timing does to an engine. So we're going to show you what too much timing does and what too little timing does and how it affects the power curve of your engine.
And it all has to start somewhere. So we are going to show you how to put a distributor in an engine the right way the first time. Start by removing the number 1 spark plug and put your finger over the hole. Turn the engine over until you feel the air rushing out of the cylinder enough to push your finger off of the hole. And that ensures your cylinder is coming up to top dead center on a compression stroke, not on split overlap. What split overlap is when the exhaust valve is almost closed and the intake valve is slightly open. And when you put a distributor in there, it's called 180 out, meaning it's on the wrong cycle. If you try to fire the air-fuel mix, that's when you get the big fireball out the carburetor.
Now that we know where our engine is at and that it's on TDC number 1, we'll go ahead and mark our distributor base where our number 1 would be on the cap. And then we take our rotor, turn it slightly before that, and the distributor's ready to drop in.
As the distributor goes in, its gear will engage with the camshaft gear, rotating the rotor. It might not engage with the oil pump drive shaft. Simply turn the engine over while pressing down on the distributor base, and it will fall right into place. After that, the distributor cap can go on. Then you can run your spark plug wires to their corresponding cylinders.
For safety's sake, and since we don't need it in the dyno cell, we'll remove the engine fan. With the distributor properly installed, the engine fires right up with no fireball. Then we'll set timing at 31 degrees total. 31 degrees of timing total, theoretically.
Yep.
The only problem with something like that is old balancers like that, sometimes the rubber slips from the inner and outer hub, and it messes up where the timing mark actually is.
Yeah. So to our best knowledge is 31, but it could be off a few degrees.
It could be off wherever. So
Yeah.
let's try to make a pull from
see what it does.
2,500 to 5. Uh, 249 pound-feet of torque and 177.5 horsepower. Made peak power at 4,500, made peak torque at, well, we're gonna say that's 2,900. We always time for torque and jet for horsepower. If the carburetor's in a good range, or whatever's in a good range, the fueling is in a good range, we raise timing until torque levels off.
Yeah.
And go stick 4 degrees of initial in it,
Yeah,
and that'll,
okay.
that'll raise our total 4 degrees.
See what that does.
Yep, so it'll bid at 35 total.
Yeah.
little bit of betterness.
Yeah.
Is that a word? 257 pound-feet of torque, 182 horsepower.
Yeah. Definitely an increase.
Oil pressure is still going up and power is still going up. Okay, we add 3 more degrees for a total of 38. How daring you feeling? You want to go put another 2 degrees in it?
Yeah, I think it'll take it.
$267, 186. That will 100% indicate to me that the balancer is wrong.
Yeah, because
Okay.
at 40 degrees, it should not
It
be
should not
liking that.
still be making power per se, right? We made dyno run after dyno run, increasing the timing each time, eventually ending up with a supposed timing of 52 degrees total. Ridiculous. I think we're there. Finally.
Hopefully.
Torque didn't go up and it dropped power.
Yeah.
We
so
are
that's
finally there.
The limit right there.
Okay, you can see why right there, where if you're timing something and something's just not making sense, but it's still going up, there's something else that's wrong. There's always an
Yeah.
explanation for everything.
Yeah, but the engine doesn't lie. You know, it likes what it likes.
The dyno doesn't lie and the engine doesn't lie, right? What it's telling you might be lying.
Yeah.
As far as where the timing is.
The numbers are wrong, but
But what happened was right. We can
Yeah.
show that as an increase.
Up next, a carburetor is a quick change that can make a big improvement.
we've just shown you how ignition timing affects the power output of an engine. So we're going to move on to something that's just as easy to change, the air-fuel mixture. Now obviously on our Piece Together 305, we have a carburetor, but these same principles apply to fuel injection in terms of CFM. Currently, we're running our QFT 4-barrel that's rated at 450 CFM, but we have 4 more carburetors that are incrementally bigger. First up is our 2-barrel. Now before you freak out, this one is rated at 500 CFM and is very common in many types of racing. Then we'll move on to our 750, our 950, and finally our 1050 Dominator to show an extreme. We're going to compare them and show you how they affect both peak and average power numbers.
First up, we'll swap over to the 2-barrel carb. We can do this because the manifold has an open plenum.
450 CFM 4-barrel to a 500 2-barrel.
See what happens.
All right, here we go. $245 pound-feet of torque, 172 horse. That's actually pretty good. And that carburetor, you know, that was on a different engine before that made less power. So, not bad. Okay,
Well,
we'll take that. Okay, now
we'll
the
go
next
on to
one.
the next one.
Go to the next one.
All right.
Which is our
750.
750.
Let's go. Not bad.
I think it broke 200.
Yeah. Ooh. Dang, that is
Look at
cool.
that stuff right there. 208
easy.
horse pressures and 280.8 pound-feet of torque.
That's
That
easy bolt-on power.
whipped everything. And we just went from a 450 to a 500 and now a 750.
Yeah.
Not only did it make more peak power, it made more power everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Well, let's keep going. Let's go to the next
okay,
one.
next one.
950.
Let's go 200 more CFM to
Yeah.
it, see what it does.
But it's a 950.
Just so they're both in the same frame. Look, there's no trickery. 750, 950.
I think I saw 210.
This is hilarious.
Close, yeah.
Not bad. 209.5 horse, 278 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah.
Well, the manifold vacuum is incrementally lower,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it went from like 1.4 to 1.2 to 1.0. Now we're at, it's almost not even registering now.
Ooh,
So
oh, that's-
so no restriction
Yeah.
on the mixer valve on the top.
Finally, the big gun, the 1050 Dominator.
All right, haven't even started it yet. Now, do you think it will even start?
Yeah, I mean, it'll start.
Do you think it'll idle?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give it a little bump. I'm not even gonna touch the old throttle. We'll see what happens.
Ooh, silky smooth.
And this is a 1050 Dominator on its idle circuit, idling on 305 inches, and the engine makes 200 horsepower.
Yeah.
People think you got to get it past the transfer slot and get it into its main circuit to get it to idle. This one right here,
See, that's smooth.
is that doggy?
No. That's nice. Yeah.
I don't know if it'll make a pull, but we're gonna
We'll see.
try. Protest it a little.
That's almost the same, I think.
It basically
Yeah.
is the same, and look how smooth everything
So it
is.
just did not care.
It doesn't care.
That's awesome.
It does not care, everything being the same. This one, because of its sizing, would start to encroach on drivability problems if you really whack the throttle.
Yeah.
Just putzing around, it wouldn't matter.
If you roll into it
But
nice,
if you roll
it
it
would
nice,
be nice.
but if you stab her hard from a dead stop,
yeah.
it might be a little, it might protest a little bit.
Yeah.
Up next, air cleaners protect your engine from contaminants, but sometimes at the cost of lower horsepower. We are continuing on showing you what affects power in your engine without even taking it apart on our 305 test mule. Now we've got our 950 back on and we've tuned on it a little bit because it showed the most power, both average and peak. Now the engine is making 210 horsepower, 280 pounds of torque, so it's time to move on to the next thing, which is an air cleaner. Every engine needs an air cleaner. It keeps contaminants out of the engine, and contaminants can wear out your cylinders a lot faster. So we are going to put some air cleaners on to see how they affect power. The problem with an air cleaner is they are sometimes very restrictive, but also can help make power. So we chose 4 different types to see how they will affect it. We will go from a bone stock one, go to one that you would have on something like a hot rod, to a 10-inch one that has minimum clearance, all the way up to a racy, cleanable filter one, trying a couple of different tops. This should be pretty interesting to see what happens, so let's get to it.
First up, a classic OEM style.
This is the actual air cleaner assembly off a 1974 Javelin with a 360 in it. That is not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that was actually kind of surprising.
That is unbelievable. I thought it would kill it way more. That little tiny hole in it,
It still broke 200. That's crazy.
that's not bad. We'll lay that over the other one, but I mean, it's down, it's not down much. 5 pound-feet and
That's
6 horse.
I'm actually really surprised
I
because
am
I really thought it was going to kill
extremely
that.
surprised.
Huh.
It's very common to put like a hot roddy type, or like front scoops or whatever like
Yeah.
that. This is what one of those is. This is off for like a tea bucket or something like that. Go ahead and slap that one on, and we'll see what that one does.
Yeah, see if it's any better or worse.
It's fun to guess how different air cleaners will affect power. Depending on your taste, this one looks the coolest, but it also looks like it could be a little restrictive.
On engines like this, especially at this power level, I don't know if any of them are going to have a greater effect.
Yeah.
We are going to have to repeat this test on something that makes like 500 horse.
Yeah, something that flows a lot more air
Well,
where there's a noticeable loss.
That's I think we're going to do that in the future. It's down a little bit, 270 pound-feet, 205.8 horse.
They're both pretty close. I mean, they're taking some, but not taking a lot. But like you said, on an engine, a smaller engine like this that's not building a lot of horsepower, the difference is going to be a little bit less noticeable, but
Right.
still, there is a loss.
There is a loss. Put that 10-inch low profile in there.
Yeah, we'll see what that one does.
A lot of times people will stick this in their car because nothing else will fit. Right?
Yeah, just
So-
because of hood clearance.
Right. All right. They're all making it through the pull rather nicely. 205 for
About the same.
horsepower, almost 270. Not doing anything crazy anywhere though.
Yeah.
We're 5 horse down from wide open, and we're 10 pound-feet down.
Yeah, but probably, at least we're determining that if you're not making over like 400 horsepower, you can kind of run whatever you want and not have a drastic loss.
Yeah,
so.
I would agree with that. All right,
Makes a
just go
difference.
put the last one on and forego the solid top altogether.
Yeah,
and
we'll
just
just go-
put the nice top, the flow through top on it.
Through top.
We are showing from perhaps the most restrictive to the least restrictive, and numbers have been showing that. So
Yeah.
well, if it's above 205, I think we're in good shape here. Yep, 209, 278. We are within 2 pound-feet and basically 1 horsepower of completely open.
Yeah, so
That's exactly
that's exactly what it's supposed to do.
That's what should have happened.
Yeah.
That's not always what happens, but that's what should have happened.
Thinner oil should always make more power, right? Maybe, maybe not.
Our final test subject is oil. All of the dyno runs so far have used conventional 10W30 engine oil. We're draining the oil, swapping the filter, and filling the engine with a higher viscosity 20W50 conventional oil. We want to see if it makes a difference in power, good or bad. Have you ever done an extreme oil test before?
Not like this. I mean, I know the theory behind it, but I've never actually got to do it because I've never had a dyno to play with. So this is kind of exciting. Like, I want to know, I think I know what's going to happen, but I want to see.
Well, okay, so to be fair, we're going to have the engine at the same temperature and the oil at the same temperature.
Yeah.
The oil is at 180 degrees.
Yes.
Definitely has more oil pressure.
Yeah,
Has
for
about,
sure.
Has about 10 PSI more. Okay, well, we are basically right where we are
Right at the baseline.
at the baseline. Power 208.7, pretty close. We were at 210. 280 for torque. Sure,
Yeah.
sure didn't hurt anything, did it?
No. Interesting. Okay.
We are going from one extreme to the other. We're going to have 0-10.
Yeah.
Now we're going from a conventional 2050 to a 0-10 synthetic, full synthetic
Yeah.
race oil. This is a very common thing to do when you're at the track trying to pick up ET in these little increments. And again, you're going to see an oil pressure difference, but maybe, just maybe, we're going to see a pumping loss difference. Not something on this kind of power level, but we'll see if the thinner oil at the same temperature and the same engine temperature makes more power.
Yeah.
And the only way to really do that accurately, the dyno. It's pretty slick, isn't it?
I see what you did there. This is oil. That's funny. That's funny. You got me.
I gotcha. All right. Oil pressure is decidedly lower, but it still made 280 pound-feet and 208 horsepower.
Yeah, that's interesting because you would think it would make a little bit more, less drag.
Well, you would think,
Just,
but
I wonder if it's because this engine doesn't make enough power to make a difference.
I would
Or-
almost venture to guess that's what it is.
Yeah, might be something where we have to repeat it later on with a
Right.
bigger engine.
There is one more thing that we can try that usually always does something no matter what the engine is. These headers have the provision for the evac in them, and the valve covers have those AN fittings in them.
Yeah.
Let's hook the evacs up just to see what from non-evac to evac on the crankcase does.
Yeah, that always helps.
Always.
Pretty much 99%
I
of the
say
time.
this,
yeah.
this one's been pretty, at this point, it's a little numb to change. So
Yeah.
go hook those up.
We'll see what those do.
I guess it might have helped a little. oh, look at that. We picked up
Yeah.
a couple pound-feet of torque, and we are back up still at 210 horsepower. All right,
Improvement.
that is 23
Yeah.
dyno pulls of just changing things and
Yeah.
not cracking the engine apart. We always leave a lot on the table, it seems like, when we're working on them, because we don't get to tune them as much, because we don't get to try as many things as we'd like to try.
Yeah.
This was one of those opportunities where we were able to try a bunch of different things on an engine that we know exists, it knows it runs. It came out of something that ran
Yeah.
decent. We're not going to set the world on fire.
Oh, yeah.
But the four things that engine needs, right? air, fuel, spark, and lubrication. We've covered all 4 of those. And I think we've shown that you can do some very, very simple things. Hard to do without a dyno, I will admit, but some simple things that drastically affect an engine's power, because from where we were to where we are, we've picked up significantly. So, what did we learn today? Plenty. Timing adjustments make a noticeable difference. At an alleged 31 degrees of total timing, the engine made 177.5 horsepower and 249 pound-feet of torque. After many adjustments, stopping at 52 degrees total timing, we made 190 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque, proving that our old, worn-out balancer is giving us inaccurate readings. The timing numbers are useful for comparing one adjustment to another, but they are not accurate. There's no way that 52 degrees of total timing would run this well.
The choice of carburetor made the biggest difference by far. The 500 CFM 2-barrel was only good for a peak of 172 horsepower and 245 pound-feet of torque. The 950 CFM carb blasted out peak values of 209.5 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque, a substantial improvement of 36.9 horsepower and 33.2 pound-feet of torque.
Air cleaner selection makes a difference. The high flow unit was the least restrictive, running almost as well as running nothing at all. The other options produced lower horsepower and torque numbers, but only suffered single-digit losses. Not a bad trade-off for delivering clean air to your engine.
On a low-power engine like our beat-up 305, the choice of oil made little difference. If you've got a high-powered bullet on the racetrack or drag strip, thinner oil could be the best choice. Otherwise, you can run whatever weight works best for your engine and operating environment. Also, if your engine allows, running an EVAC setup can add a few extra horsepower and torque.
We started the day making 177.5 peak horsepower and 249 peak pound-feet of torque. We ended the day making 210 peak horsepower and 283.5 peak pound-feet of torque. That's an 18.3% gain in horsepower and a 13.8% gain in torque without even tearing into the engine. To learn more about today's episode, visit PowerNationTV.com.